Hey everyone, welcome to 59 Topps Friday, presented by Wax Pack Wisdom, where we talk baseball history through the cards we love. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. We built the iconic 1959 Topps baseball set, and in this series we're going through every card to talk about the players, teams, and people who made up Major League Baseball in 1959. Today we'll cover cards 245 through 252 in the set. Card number 245 belongs to Ned Garver of the Kansas City Athletics. 1959 was Garver's 12th season in the big leagues. He was a right-handed pitcher who spent time with the Browns, Tigers, Athletics, and Angels. Garver was born into a farming family, which he attributed to helping develop his strength. His father had been a semi-pro pitcher who always encouraged his sons to play baseball. Ned pitched in the minors before his major league debut with the Browns as a pinch runner of all things. He became known as the best pitcher for some of the worst teams of all time. In 1951, he became the first pitcher in Major League history to win 20 games for a team which lost 100 games, and he was named to the AL All-Star team in 1951. Garver led the American League in complete games in 1950 and 1951. He would go on to have a 3.73 ERA in his career with a win-loss record of 129 and 157. Following his career, he moved back to his hometown of Ney, Ohio, where he worked in farming and even served in public office on the village council, park board, and the mayor for a period of time. Garver had a nephew, Bruce Barani, who also played professional baseball. Garver died in 2017 at the age of 91. Card number 246 belongs to J.W. Porter of the Washington Senators. 1959 was Porter's sixth and final season in the big leagues. Porter played non-consecutive years in the big leagues, interrupted by 2 years of military service. He appeared at catcher, outfield, and third base for the Browns, Tigers, Indians, Senators, and Cardinals. He was nicknamed Firefly by Satchel Paige after Porter shined his shoes one day. While on his way walking home from school one day, Porter was let into the end of a Oakland Coast League game by a member of the staff there. Porter's mother later told him that after seeing the game that day, he never really left the stadium. His first job was collecting cushions at the stadium, and he went on to shine shoes and do various jobs for players just to stay near the sport. In the majors, he had a .228 batting average and played in a total of 229 games. Reportedly, his favorite meal was 2 dozen eggs over light eaten in one sitting. There was allegedly a contest arranged between Porter and the world champion egg eater at the time, but alas, the world champion failed to show up for the contest. After his playing career, Porter went on to serve as a minor league manager for the Montreal Expos organization, including for the West Palm Beach Expos. Later in life, he was a well-known usher at Roger Dean Stadium in Florida, who walked with a cane fashioned from a baseball bat and would regale any willing fans with stories of his time in the majors. Reportedly, some of his more famous stories were of shining Satchel Paige's shoes, pinch hitting for Roger Maris, and even chasing rattlesnakes in the outfield. Not recommended. Porter died in 2020 at the age of 87. Card number 247 belongs to Don Ferrarese of the Cleveland Indians. 1959 was Ferrarese's fifth season in the big leagues. Ferrarese was a left-handed pitcher who spread his time in the big leagues between the Orioles, Indians, White Sox, Phillies, and Cardinals. As a kid, he considered Joe DiMaggio to be his favorite player. Ferrarese played minor league ball, served in the military, and then went on to pitch in the major leagues as both a reliever and starter. At the end of his career, he wanted to keep his 1962 Cardinals uniform, so he stuffed it in a duffel bag and kept it. Ferrarese finished his career with a 4 ERA and a 19-36 record. After his major league career, he moved to California and went on to own and operate his family's Italian deli, Hugo's, and then an Italian restaurant. Ferrarese went on to found the Don Ferrarese charitable organization with his wife Betty, which is still active today, giving out scholarships. As of this recording, Ferrarese is 94 years old, and he will turn 95 on June 19th, 2024. Card number 248 is the Boston Red Sox team checklist. The checklist on the back of the card covers cards 177 to 264 in the set. The Red Sox entered the 1950s with a competitive team in the American League, but legendary slugger Ted Williams missed most of 2 seasons serving in the Korean War, and while the team remained in the first division for much of the decade, they were never much of a threat for the pennant. 1958 was a promising year. Williams won his 6th batting title at .328. Second baseman Pete Reynolds was right behind him at .322. and right fielder Jackie Jensen was the league's MVP after leading the league in RBI with 116. But things regressed in 1959, beginning a run of 8 straight losing seasons at Fenway Park. Williams, who did not have his own player card in the 1959 top set because of an exclusive deal with Fleer, hit below 300 for the first time in his career, and he'd retire after 1960. Red Sox pitching was poor, finishing the year with a 4.17 ERA, good for 6th out of 8 AL teams. Boston also went through 3 managers in 1959. Most significantly, an embarrassing chapter in franchise history came to a close on July 21st, when infielder Elijah Jerry Pumpsy Green debuted for the Red Sox, breaking the team's color barrier and making the Red Sox the last MLB team to integrate. Card number 249 belongs to Bobby Adams of the Chicago Cubs. 1959 was Adams' 14th and final year in the big leagues. Adams was a second and third baseman who spent his time in the big leagues with the Reds, White Sox, Orioles, and Cubs. In 1952, Adams led the National League in singles with 152, at-bats with 637, and games with 154 while batting .283. For his career, he had a .269 batting average with 37 home runs and 303 RBIs in 1,281 games played. His brother Dick and son Mike also spent time in the major leagues. Following his career as a player, Adams also spent time coaching for the Cubs, then as the president of the Tacoma Cubs. He followed the Tacoma Cubs when they moved to Midland. Adams died in 1997 at the age of 75. Card number 250 belongs to Billy O'Dell of the Baltimore Orioles. 1959 was O'Dell's 5th year in the big leagues. O'Dell was a southpaw who spread his time in the big leagues between the Orioles, Giants, the Braves, and the Pirates. Nicknamed Digger, he took a brief break from professional baseball to serve a year in the military. O'Dell was with the Braves when they moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta, and he ended his career with the Pirates as a relief pitcher. O'Dell was named to the AL All-Star team for the Orioles in 1958 and 1959. He had a career ERA of 3.29 in just over 1,800 MLB innings. O'Dell worked for a textile company and coached American Legion ball following his playing career. He enjoyed fishing and bird hunting in his retirement. Card number 251 belongs to Clete Boyer of the New York Yankees. 1959 was Boyer's 4th MLB season. Boyer was the youngest of 3 brothers to play in Major League Baseball. The eldest, Cloyd, pitched parts of 5 MLB seasons for the Cardinals and A's. The middle brother, Ken, starred at third base for the Cardinals and will be covered in a later video in this series. And while Clete did not have as much statistical success as Ken, he was a top performer on the Yankees, the most famous team in baseball, appearing in 5 straight World Series, winning 2, but losing to Ken in 1964. Clete Boyer broke in with the A's in 1955, which happened to be the 1 year Cloyd played there. Clete played scant few games for them, and he was traded to the Yankees in 1957. Boyer would not take over as the Yankees' regular third baseman until 1960. While he was mostly a league average performer in the Bronx, he did save some big games for the Fall Classic. Boyer hit .318 with a home run in the 1962 World Series win for the Yankees. He was traded to the Braves in 1966 and won an NL Gold Glove there in 1969. After his MLB career was over in 1971, he played in Japan for a few years and then became an MLB coach for the A's and Yankees. Spending summers in Cooperstown, New York, Boyer opened a restaurant called Clete Boyer's Hamburger Hall of Fame. He also attended card and memorabilia shows through the rest of his life. Card number 252 belongs to Ray Boone of the Chicago White Sox. 1959 was Boone's 12th MLB season. Born in San Diego, Boone debuted for the Indians late in the 1948 season and got 1 at-bat in that year's World Series, which the Indians won. He gradually got more playing time the next few years, hitting .301 for the Indians in 1950. Boone was traded to the Tigers early in the 1954 season, which ended up being one of his best, hitting 26 homers and finishing 8th in AL MVP voting. He was an all-star in the American League in 1954 and 1956, and in 1955 he led the league in RBIs with 116. His play started dropping off in 1957, and he spent the final 3 years of his career between the Tigers, White Sox, A's, Braves, and Red Sox. After a 13-year MLB career, Boone took a job as a Red Sox scout in 1961 and remained in that role for over 30 years. Today, Boone is best remembered as the patriarch of a prominent baseball family. His son, Bob, caught for 19 years in the majors, and managed for parts of 6. His grandsons Brett and Aaron played 14 and 12 years in the majors respectively, and Aaron is currently in his 7th season managing the Yankees. All 4 were All-Stars. The Boones are the only family to have 3 generations of players make MLB All-Star teams. That's going to do it for this edition of 59 Tops Friday on Wax Pack Wisdom. Today's episode was written by Abby O'Donnell and Jake T. O'Donnell. Do you have a story about one of the people, players, or teams we discussed today? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Wax Pack Wisdom content. In the video description, you will find our source material for this episode, links to where you can follow us on all social media channels, as well as a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities. Please consider a donation to one of them if you enjoyed this content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Wax Pack Wisdom. Take care.